It feels like society is just absolutely obsessed with coupling up. But what if I told you a growing number of people are actively psychologically choosing the single life? We live in this world that's constantly pushing the romance narrative, right? Yet there is a profound, deeply wired foundation for why so many of us are flying solo. And spoiler alert, it has absolutely nothing to do with just not meeting the right person yet. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the fascinating science and psychology behind this choice. So why do some of us actually prefer being alone? People love to jump to the conclusion that singles are just unlucky in love, or maybe way too picky. But let's toss that judgment out the window for a second and just look at human behavior. Because for a lot of folks, preferring the single life isn't some default state of failure. No way. It's an active psychological preference. Honestly, it's a survival mechanism. And to truly understand human connection, we first got to understand the really powerful psychology of disconnection. To figure this all out, we're going to peel the onion. We'll start with the fear of commitment, look into childhood and attachment theory, explore hyperindependence and isolation, and finally wrap up with modern society and technology. Let's dive right into the first layer, the fear of commitment. Have you ever heard of Philophobia? It's the recognized psychological fear of emotional attachment, falling in love, or commitment. Now, we're not just talking about casually wanting to stay single for the summer to focus on your career. For someone dealing with philophobia, the very idea of falling in love triggers a literal biological alarm system in the body. We're talking sweaty palms, a racing heart, the whole fight or flight package. It's a deeply ingrained psychological barrier. See, when commitment feels like an actual threat, the brain's alarm bells just start blaring. Suddenly, the single life isn't just a relationship status anymore, it becomes a safe room. That behavior we see so often in modern dating, the dodging, the sudden loss of interest, well, that's just the brain seeking safety. It turns into this psychological preference for predictability and control, all to avoid the perceived overwhelming danger of getting attached to someone else. Which brings us to our second point, childhood and attachment theory. You've got to wonder, where does this fear actually come from? Because let's face it, people aren't born with an innate terror of holding hands or sharing an apartment. To understand the adult who runs from love, we really have to look backwards. We need to look at the child who first learned what love was supposed to look like. This is where attachment theory comes into play. Think about a child whose parent consistently soothes them when they cry. That kid learns pretty quickly that relying on others is safe and rewarding. Now, contrast that with a child left to fend for themselves emotionally in an unavailable or maybe even chaotic environment. That second child learns a very harsh lesson. Depending on others just leads straight to disappointment or pain. And those early formative experiences, they forge the exact attachment style we carry right into adulthood. Basically, the blueprint you built at age 5 is still running the show in your dating life today. The core idea of attachment theory is that those early patterns just don't vanish the second you turn 18. They become this subconscious script you read from every single time you enter a romantic dynamic. If your childhood blueprint taught you that closeness equals vulnerability, and vulnerability guarantees getting hurt, well, your adult self is naturally going to prefer solitude to protect you from repeating that pain. That leads us right into part 3, hyperindependence and isolation. Imagine going through a devastating betrayal. Your brain logs that pain and immediately starts building a fortress. Step 1 is that unpleasant past experience. Maybe it's from childhood, or maybe just a brutal breakup. Step 2 is the intense fear of repeating it. Your brain literally vows never again. And that leads straight into step 3, isolation and hyperindependence as a shield. The person physically and emotionally exits the dating pool. They build these incredibly high walls so no one can ever get close enough to inflict that pain a second time. We see this everywhere today in modern hustle culture, right? It's worn like a badge of honor. I don't need anybody, I can do it all myself. But psychologically speaking, extreme hyperindependence isn't just about being highly capable, paying your own bills, or fixing your own sink. When doing absolutely everything yourself becomes a protective trauma response, you're not just being independent. You're actively isolating yourself to guarantee you never have to rely on someone who might let you down. Finally, let's zoom out and look at our last piece of the puzzle, modern society and technology. So we've looked at the internal mechanics, but now let's factor in the environment we actually live in. 100 years ago, your dating pool was basically the 3 eligible people in your village. Coupling up was pretty much essential for basic survival and social standing. But today, you literally have 10,000 potential matches sitting right in your pocket. The scale of this shift is massive. Having limitless options paradoxically makes committing to just one person feel like this huge sacrifice of potential. And that dynamic perfectly suits someone with an underlying fear of deep commitment. Modern society really doesn't just accommodate isolation, it actively fuels it. First off, living alone is way more normalized and socially acceptable than ever before. Then there's the sheer soul-crushing exhaustion of dating apps. The endless swiping causes such profound burnout that the single life literally starts looking like a peaceful retreat. Add to that the illusion of connection. I mean, you can have hundreds of followers and constant text threads without ever risking true vulnerability. And if someone actually does get too close, well, a single tap lets you block, mute, or ghost them. Technology has basically handed us the ultimate toolkit for the avoidant attachment style. So we've uncovered the fear of commitment, the childhood blueprints of attachment theory, the protective fortress of hyper-independence, and the facilitating role of our digital world. All of this leaves us with one incredibly profound question to think about as we wrap up this explainer. Is modern technology actually making us more connected? Or is it just making us much, much better at being alone?